From wherever we are, we acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia, recognising their continuing connection to this land, its waterways, the stars in the skies since time immemorial. We pay our respects to the elders, knowledge holders, and to all the generations of First Nations peoples who have nurtured their unceded sovereign lands for over 80,000 years and continue to do so today.
G'day, I'm your host Charlie Arnott, an 8th generational Australian regenerative farmer. And in this podcast series, I'll be diving deep and exploring my guests' unique perspectives on the world so you can apply their experience and knowledge to cultivate your own transition to a more regenerative way of life.
Welcome to the Regenerative Journey with your host Charlie Arnott.
Talk me through it.
The Rain Reset Tour, it came about by, as you know, I spent first 30 years of my career in the corporate world, dealing with lots of large organisations. But about 30 years ago, I got my first request from a guy named Col Gallatley. And Gallatley was the head of Department of Land and Water Conservation at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he requested that I go out and sort out a dispute over water. And it was a water allocation dispute far midwest, southwest, New South Wales. And I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Nothing at all. And somehow or other, over 2 days, they came to an agreement and they thought I was pretty good. And the following decade, I probably resolved 70 or 80 water disputes around the country and 2 or 3 internationally.
Yeah.
And it was really the doorway to me getting involved with the rural community. And now it's rural communities, probably about 25 or 30% of my work.
Yeah.
And I love it. And up until about 10 years ago, I used to describe the difference between the two as this, that the stress levels of the corporate were so high and they were so unaware of it and become so normal that they actually thought it was okay. And I watched the rural people, much calmer, much more settled, slower pace, usually more likely to be leading what you'd call a classic healthier life, just levels lower. And then over the last 10 years, I've watched it rise. And since COVID, and just before COVID, all the dreadful droughts, and then fires, and then floods, and I've watched the rural community actually go past the corporate people, and a lot of it's because they experienced tough stuff that the city people didn't. And now you've got rising interest rates. You've got you had the China embargoes in rural Australia that had a big impact. And there's a lot of things that are what we call stressors that the country people have suffered and are now a more stressed community. And I thought to myself, I don't know what to do about this. And I played it in my head a lot. And thought, what can I do? And one day I was talking with a friend and he said, Allan, you've done lots of work in change management on big scales. He said, what's the really critical thing to get long-lasting change across the society? And I said, oh, that's easy. You just got to have mass conversation and repeat the mass conversation. If enough people talk about regenerative farming, we don't just talk to the regenerative farmers, we talk to everybody about it, and we spread the conversation. That's the fastest way to get social change.
Yeah.
Now, I've watched a social change occur through mass conversation that has been disturbing. And that's, we talk about mental health, and we're not talking about mental health, we're talking about mental ill health. And we have talked about it so much that we've made it worse, in my view. So I came up with the idea, I'm going to do something and create a mass conversation. I decided I'd pick 20 locations west of the Dividing Range between the Cape of Carpentaria and Geelong. And I picked 20, and I thought, I'm going to run a regional brain reset tour. I'm going to go to those towns, and I'm going to do enough talking with enough people to get them to start a conversation in their towns. And so 9 weeks ago, I put a flyer out, say, this is what I'm planning to do. No booking, no dates, nothing. I just put the names of the 20 towns I was thinking about. I hadn't even talked to them.
Mm.
And within 3 or 4 weeks, and by that stage we'd put dates in place, I'd spoken to people and we had the 20 confirmed. But within that period of time of a month, we had another 20 requests. And we're now up, today I got Gladstone.
Wow.
I've just sent a proposal to the Bega Council.
Mm-hmm.
We now have 48 locations, including 5 in the Northern Territory.
Wow.
And I want a conversation to start. Now, here's the exciting bit. A guy in, what's the name of the town? Georgetown, far north Queensland,
Mm-hmm.
4 hours west of Townsville.
Yep.
The town that he lives in, the Shire, has 900 people.
Wow.
He committed to me that he would get 100 people in the room so that he had 10% of the population or one person from every house in the Shire.
Mm-hmm. That'd make an impact, wouldn't it?
Isn't that? And he's on the way. He's moving close to it.
Yeah, well,
That inspired me. And when I spoke to Bega, they wanted me to come and do a separate one so it doesn't fit in. And I said, look, if you do that, my recommendation is you're going to have to pay me to go and do it. And then you can organise it and get all the people in. And if you can get 100, 200 people, then, it's a very low cost investment. And they said, yes, what a good idea. One of the women in that group had been subscribing to my 4 to 8 minute videos for the last 2 years. And she spoke up and said, how about we give the people who are participants a subscription to your videos, a weekly subscription.
Yeah.
I went, what a great idea. And I said, I'll make a deal with you. And I forget what it is, $250 or $280 a year. I said, if you get more than 50 and up to 100, I'll give you the 50 to 100 subscriptions for $5,000.
Yep.
And she went, oh, that's amazing. She said, I can't say yes to the money, but I'm going to see if I can get them to say yes.
Yeah, cool.
I had to sleep that night and dreamt that I'd called her and said, if you give me 20, I'll provide a subscription to every home in the Bega Shire.
What happened when you woke up?
I sent the second shot at the proposal.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And that was the council. That was the Bega Council. Yeah, that's got to change some thinking.
Now that's got me. I got this guy who wanted me to do Gladstone, Queensland Gladstone, not New South Wales. And when we finished the meeting and agreed on what we were going to do, I then threw the idea at him about how many people in Gladstone, and how about we provide them all, every house.
Yeah.
And he's gone off going, wow, that's an amazing idea. Now, if I can get 10 places to do that, and Burua could be one, and in fact, if we can get 25 people to Burua, I'd be willing to provide every house in the town and the region. So all farming properties.
Wow.
So that they've got their own conversation and their own course in how to have better conversations.
Yeah.
How to manage their health and their brain more effectively. It's almost like the whole town's doing a degree at the same time.
Well, I mean, that's the good thing, Alan, that it's one thing for someone to come into a town and put on a workshop for a few hours, and people get value out of that.
Yes.
But it's what happens next, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's like they go home to the spouse who wasn't at the meeting and they start talking about something and they go, "What are you talking about? That's crazy," you know. And then the conversations peter out, you know, and then before you know it, they're back to their old ways and their old thinking.
Yeah.
And I guess your intention is not to. This isn't about brainwashing, or not. That's the wrong word. This is about having, as I say, having conversations which are incited by curiosity.
Yes.
In some ways, they're also going to be the motivation for some people. There's also going to be some pain, right? You know, that they've gone, oh shit, this is something I clearly need to go. Or my spouse has said, you need to get along to this.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter how they get there at the end of the day, as long as they go.
Yeah.
And if you're as generous as you are, and clearly, and enabling them to continue that conversation post that meeting, I think that's amazing. What would tell us, Alan? What's the, without giving too much away, what's sort of the agenda? How is it going to work? Like when someone turns up going, "Oh, this bloke Allan Parker I've heard a bit about. He's going to have conversations about rebooting something." Like what can they expect? And maybe as importantly, when they leave that,
what will they have? Yeah.
What will they have? What tools will they have?
Yeah. I think, Charlie, you know, I'm a nerdy neuroscientist and behavioral scientist, and, you know, I can run a course for 10 days. But I think what I've done in this one is gone, if I synthesize it down, I tell them 5 things about how the brain works so that they get some of that, but not much. But just enough for them to go, wow, my brain, I've got more control over my brain than I thought I did. That's number one. And we now know scientifically that's the case. Number 2 is, what are the 3 or 4 things I can do every single day without adding extra time, no cost, simply that if I do those things, I'm going to have a healthier brain that's going to go longer in a good fashion, in a good functional way. You know, we have a dementia rate of increase that's at a staggering level. And there are 3 or 4 things we can do that actually reduces the likelihood of that happen. I'm going to show people 3 of those. There are 3 things about how we do and don't have conversations. And I'm going to just simply go, here's 3 skills that if you do that, you'll have good, better, calmer, considered conversations. And if you stop these 2, your life will change.
Wow.
And then I'm going to get into what's the impact of fruit and vegetables, which produce antioxidants, and antioxidants clean out what are called free radicals in the brain. And if we do exercise and have enough antioxidants, it produces a substance called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, shorthand BDNF. And BDNF stimulates stem cell growth in the brain. So the combination of exercise and antioxidants will actually grow new neurons. Scientifically, absolutely known.
That's awesome.
And if the average person gets that, their likelihood of holding a good, healthy brain for longer is unquestionably mathematically likely. So, quick summary, and you can tell I'm just a little bit excited about it.
I know. Well, we have been sort of talking on and off about it for a little while, Allan. And so the good news is practical tools,
yes,
and principles to literally take home and use around the dinner table.
yes.
I'm interested. So you've got conversation tactics.
Yep.
You've got reference food as a source of nutrients, and so that tactic, and exercise. I wonder which of those
Sleep.
go on.
Sleep.
Okay, so sleep. Well, everyone's got to do that, but people have varying degrees of success and sort of sleep hygiene.
I'll teach them about 2 pieces of the brain that will improve their sleep.
Awesome.
Reduction of stress.
Yep.
And if you've got sleep and reduction of stress, you've got better memory.
Yes. Yep. Less hazy. I'm wondering which one, being the devil's advocate, which one might not get more pushback, but I'm wondering what conversations or questions or oh, that's bloody weird or whatever. I mean, there's conversations, there's food, and there's exercise.
Yeah.
I wonder which ones of those 3 people will find the hardest to kind of swallow.
Food and exercise, people have been fed so much information and so much incorrect information about it. I'm just going to throw out 4 or 5 of the myths and give them 3 or 4. If they understand that having a cup of green tea and an orange, which produces enough antioxidants to remove free radicals, if you did nothing but have a green tea and an orange every day for the rest of your life, your mathematical chances of not having dementia are greater.
They're right.
So they're tiny things, practical, simple, and throw out the word diet.
Yeah.
And if there are 4 things that if you do, you can actually eat anything you want after the 4 things, and we'll cover that.
Awesome. I can't wait. That's going to be fantastic. Where are you at Burua? Remind me, you at the Ex-Services Club or the Rec Club? Which one? The Ex-Services Club.
I haven't got a list of any of the venues at this point.
No, that's okay.
I will get those at 5 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah, cool.
Jump on the plane in the morning.
Well, I think you're at the Ex-Services Club, given the conversation we had last time, and it's great. We just had a 2-day introduction to biodynamics workshop there, just the morning sections, and the afternoon we came out here to the farm. Yeah. And you are at Glenmore House for the kickoff of the tour.
Glenmore House in Camden on Wednesday.
Our good buddy Mickey Robinson there.
Mickey and Larry are our hosts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Well, so have you been to Glenmore House before?
No, it's my first time.
Oh, it's amazing. What they've done there. Incredible. Yeah. Well, please say good day to them from.
I will. You will. Charlie, such a joy.
Oh, always good to have yarns with Allan Parker, Allan Parker. I can't wait to see you on Monday. We're flying overseas on the Tuesday, so
yes, I remembered that.
Yeah, so I can pop in the morning, but we have to get ourselves to Sydney that day and other things. But can I just congratulate you on having the courage and the motivation, the drive, the momentum to do this, because you don't have to. No one's put you up to this. I mean, people have maybe suggested this and that, but you pulled all this together. It's clearly got legs when you start with 20 and end up with 48 without too much more effort, because it's such a compelling offering. Yeah. And I wish you all the very best with it. And I trust and I know that the impact will be great. And not just because you're going to sit around and talk about stuff for a couple of hours every time you go to a venue, but with your generous offer to give people access to some gold, your subscription offer post those workshops. So that's great. It's very generous, and it's a mark of the chap that you are. And I look forward to seeing you on Monday. Ditto.
And a joy as always, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Allan. We shall be in touch.
This podcast is produced by Rhys Jones at Jaeger Media. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to subscribe, share, rate and review. For more episode information, please head over to www.charliearnott.com.au.